All right. Hi, everybody. This is Art Malkov, and with Blockchain OIC, representing Consensus 2022 here in New York side. Super excited about our event. I would like to welcome everyone. This is our, after we had a little bit of a more of a slowdown during COVID, but we're back and strong. We have over 6,000 members in New York City, and really excited about the consensus, and really happy to be here. So a few things first. A bit about Blockchain OIC. So we're one of the largest blockchain communities in New York City. We have hosted a number of events. Some would say we're a leader in it. We have had speakers from Consensus, Hyperledger, MakerDAO, Chainlink, Brave, EOS, you name it. We probably had them. Some major corporations as well. So we like to bring in the best and most interesting projects in blockchain space. What is the most relevant? What's the most interesting? And lately, it has been interoperability. So some of you who know about me, I have been a head of marketing at a number of blockchain companies such as Polymarket, IoTech, Silica. And so I live and breathe blockchain. So I'm super thrilled to bring in a really interesting project, which really caught my eye about interoperability, because there's a lot of conversations about what is interoperability, why is it important, and how can we do it right. But there hasn't been real answers yet. So I think Unilayer has an interesting solution to that, and so I wanted to bring it to all of you. Interoperability, I would say, one of the hottest spaces for the future. And definitely A16Z looking at it very closely. Number of other spaces really trying to bring together and bridge the gap of various blockchains and let them talk. So without further ado, I would like to introduce, we have three excellent speakers. They're from Unilayer. We have their CEO, Alex Pelitz, who is actually a specialist in cross-chain technologies. He's a co-founder of SmartState, cybersecurity and audit company, which means they audited hundreds of smart contracts for various blockchains, such as Ethereum, Cosmos, Polkadot, and you mentioned it, they probably did it. So somebody with that kind of cloud and credibility is, I'm really excited to have them, and share their thoughts, because we have been hearing a lot about hacks. And so how can we do it better and cleaner? And I'm sure Alex will be able to tell us about it. So we'll add him to the stream. And hey, Alex. Well, I'll introduce everybody first, and then everyone can talk about it a little bit. So next is Nikita Marin, who is actually CMO of Unilayer, and he has been in blockchain crypto since 2017. As of recently, you might know him from Hubble Protocol on Solana, one of the leading DeFi projects. So wherever Nikita goes, I want to know he's really guy who brings a lot of interesting ideas to forefront. And as a head of marketing, I have a lot of confidence in his skills on really allowing interoperability presented well. So because to me, it's not just Unilayer, right? It's about, is interoperability as a space really being featured? So Nikita, all right, we'll give you a few words in a second. Don't jump up first. All right, so, and next is Reina Otita. Some of you know him from Star Crazy. Some of them know him from Zolika, but he's actually now social media manager. He actually done an amazing job in those projects, and specifically Star Crazy. He grown huge fan base, over 50,000, social media followers. So he has been on the forefront of what is latest. So will be very interesting to hear his view on what he sees relevant. All right, so without further ado, we got everyone. All right, so let's start with Alex. Maybe tell about yourself and tell us, share some thoughts.
With pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was a long journey before I came to crypto. I spent about 12 years in huge, large-scale enterprise like banking systems, retail systems, and I've seen just too much. And then I went into crypto. It was roughly 6 years ago. Founded SmartState. We provided some values from enterprise into crypto, how to make it stable, how to do things step by step, and finally implement really nice solutions. And finally, we created Unilayer. I believe, long story short, I'll explain much more a bit later.
So sounds good. And Nikita, maybe give us some words and thoughts on here as well.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us for this important milestone for our team. We are launching publicly our testnet today and presenting it. So we was working on this in stealth mode more than a year, and we are really excited to share this with you guys tonight.
Absolutely excited. And by the way, for the viewers here, please drop and say where you're from. Just in the chat comments, drop if whichever country you're from, U.S. or Israel, Brazil, whichever. All right, Nikki, Ray, please give us a little bit of intro yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you here. Thank you for having me. This is a very exciting project for me. Just a little bit background about myself. So I have a background in traditional finance, graduate in financial management, and then proceeded to do law. So I'm a lawyer actually doing blockchain. So yeah, and also as mentioned by Art, I've been my exposure to traditional finance. I was able to use it a little bit. What's applicable in crypto in a DeFi. So yeah, well, basically I was in GameFi, and now I'm in Unilayer, which is a very big project. I think one of the biggest project that I've been part of. So I'm excited for what's gonna happen in the future.
Well, excellent. So this leads us to the question on everybody's mind. So on everybody's mind is, what is interoperability? Why is it important? Because one thing that we have heard a lot lately is interoperability. It's important, but why? So I will throw it, Alex. Maybe you start us because you spend so much time, and share your thoughts on what is interoperability. How do you define it for an average person out here, right? Hey, from blockchain people, we're all curious. Yeah.
Yes, I'll start the answer with a quote. Like the first step was creating of Bitcoin itself. Second important step was establishment and support of smart contracts. And next upcoming that size of step is interoperability, because the interoperability is a very huge step, as very important fit for the whole crypto. But what is it in essence? It is like we done with concurrency and etc. We want to work together. Every project, every chain has unique features, which is important, and we want to use them together in order to create some new bright projects and in order to develop the crypto itself. But you see how to do it right now. You'll be forced to do some standalone server and compose events and features from different networks, and it will be like nightmare because it costs just too much and incredibly hard to support, to maintain, and to keep it secure and safe. So interoperability is how to using by using only crypto means provide data transfer from one chain to another. Basically, I believe it's pretty accurate description.
Excellent. Yeah. And Nikita, do you want to take a stab at it as well? What is your view on it as well?
Yes, sure. I would start from this point. So since the Genesis block in Bitcoin almost more than 10 years ago, we have so many networks and chains. We have more than 100 active and major chains around, and all of these chains, they have their specific logic, how they operate, how they reach the consensus. And we could compare it with a spoken language. So each chain has its own language. And at this point of time, they don't understand each other. They don't talk with each other, and they talking with each other only through bridges. That is a temporary solution for the blockchain ecosystem growth. So interoperability is actually the unified field for all networks that could understand each other, talk with each other, exchange data and assets, and really operate together.
That's great. Ray, do you want to give it a shot as well? Like, what's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, for the background of everyone, I'm not the tech guy in this team, so I'll speak on the community side of things, on like what ordinary people, these people are actually devs. So based on like what people like me, ordinary user of crypto, is interoperability really is like to burst the bubble of every other blockchain, right? So right now there's a bubble in Cosmos, there's a bubble in Ethereum, there's a bubble of everything, and these bubbles don't touch each other. So interoperability really is to burst those bubbles and to create just one big bubble for the entire industry. So I think that's how I could easily describe rather than define or explain interoperability becoming in essence, it's becoming one, really. So those networks eventually will be connected and will become one crypto industry as a whole. So yeah, that's the non-techie side of things.
All right. So that brings us to the next question. So what is Unilayer and how are you trying to connect it? So Alex, this is a question to you. So people want to know, like, so okay, so if we're gonna burst the bubble and connect things, what does really Unilayer present itself?
Yes. It's a very complex question because it involves many different things. But to start off, Unilayer is a superstructure over different blockchains solving different problems about native transition of data. So what I mean by native? It means that physically in nodes of Unilayer included nodes of another chains. So we're talking here directly within code without using some third parties. And target here is to how replace backend. Finally, like just imagine right now you want to replace your nasty standalone server somewhere with a blockchain solution in order to be cross-chain project, but you won't do it definitely because it will cost just too much. And via Unilayer, it is possible. You will just use one or two or few smart contracts, and that's it. No price for maintain, no developers for this, no DevOps, and etc., etc. So this is what Unilayer is in essence. It is huge.
Totally, it's and that's what I think people are trying to wrap their heads around. Like, why is it such a big element? Why does Unilayer can play a role, and how it can play a role? Nikita, do you want to maybe jump in and also share some thoughts?
Yes, so Unilayer is layer 1 blockchain. So it's a foundational layer for all other integrated chains, and we are uniting and dividing blockchain world. So our solution embeds master nodes in every blockchain that we interact with, and these allow Unilayer network to validate all transactions and between chains natively on our own chain. That's why we are building layer 1 solution for this. And also it's an interoperability platform. So look at this from this point. So in this year, we like to compare, Web3 and Web2 and the internet development and the history of internet development. Actually, in blockchain terms, we are in era that predates the long distance calls. Right now, blockchain businesses and on other networks, they could only call local businesses, the businesses that on the same chains that they are. So they can't make international calls. They can't connect with other businesses on different chains. DeFi projects on Solana can't cooperate with users and other projects on Ethereum. And the same situation in all 100 networks. So we are in the super early days of omni-chain future, and we are really excited to be here.
Yeah. There is a lot of I think it's still early stages. So I think that for a lot of people out there, they're asking, why interoperability, and it's and why it's not that clear, because it's still early stages. Alex, maybe you can show visually something like you mentioned you had some slide or something to everyone. Let's see. Oh, there it is, I think. So maybe you can walk through everyone and kind of explain so people can, visualize. It's better to see once than hear a bunch of times. So
it is true. Let me explain a few things. You see, when we're talking about native connection, it's very important part here, because when you're using some third party or additional layers and etc., it is really good and nice if you want to provide some just liquidity transfer and etc. But if you want to really be a replacement for off-chain solutions, you'll be forced to do what? You'll be forced to go to another chains physically and inject nodes of that chain itself, because when you're inside of some chain, you are accessible to the information circulated in that chain, but when you're outside, it's not possible at all. And in order to do that, there was invented oracles and etc., different and very complex technology. But the beauty answer here is pretty simple. Just use that nodes physically and inject it inside your chain. And after it, provide logic to process it. That's it, pretty much. And after it, we can create nice features like cross-chain smart contracts, which is really important here. But the thing is just we need to go deeper, like it was at some old joke, and inject that nodes physically inside our chain. You can say other way. We injected our nodes inside other chain, which is also will be a bit correct, like roundly correct. So what it means, you'll be in one single process, physically like single process, you'll have different nodes and different call logic wrapped by logic of Unilayer, and everything worked based on layer 1 blockchain. This is very important thing. When we transfer data from one chain to another based on level 1 logic, it means that each data movement will be resulted as a transaction after reaching consensus. And this is something I really want for you to keep in mind. This is what I mean when I talking about native integration.
Absolutely, and it's that's great. Let me see. Is there one more? If you want to explain this as well, so just people understand visually, I think.
Yes, it's very important graphic. I believe you can understand, because actual right now nowadays graphic how we transfer data from one chain to another using different cross-chain projects will be much way too more complex than that. And this is simple and beautiful answer on our question, how to transfer data easily and pay less. So in order to do this, here we are native integration. We doing just two very simple things. We just transferring messages through different nodes, and we are incredibly simple logic. We can verify them. This is beauty of that solution. But again, it is just on the surface. In order to make it that simple, we should involve incredible amounts of time in development and etc. But
absolutely,
yeah.
It's we're not gonna get too technical, everyone. So we want to make sure. So in the future, I'm sure you'll have more technical questions, but I think I want to make sure that people just understand the main values. So let's go a little deeper. So why was it created? Why did you see the need for Unilayer, and in what way it can unlock interoperability space?
I'm sorry, I missed pieces of your last question.
So why was Unilayer created? What problem is Unilayer solving that you feel is not been done, haven't been done yet, right? So this is because it's a big space and there are companies out there, but like, so how is Unilayer different from Cosmos or Polkadot or others?
You see, it's actually, there is a story behind it. I mentioned that I came from enterprise, and in enterprise, it's very obvious that when we want to integrate different pieces of that different services in that company, we want to have some core and integrate each one with that core. But if we want to integrate different services with each other, it will be a nightmare in order to maintain. And I've seen exactly the same problem here. And the crux here that in order to do this, we will be forced to go into C++ level. We will be forced to be involved into very complex mathematics. And many presented already really nice solutions right now. Didn't do it because it's just not that easy and cost effective and etc. They solve really important problems, but what's important for us that we are Unilayer, it will be possible to start like backend, but within blockchain. And it is very sensitive part here that it is hardly depends on the level of infrastructure we can provide. Like each data movement, each calculation will cost some gas, and we should be really cost effective. And it's very complex thing to achieve in interoperability, like classic interoperability. We are one way we will be forced to make statement like, if we want to inject in our ecosystem another blockchain, you have to change your blockchain. It is what was done, for instance, by Polkadot and Parachains, the ecosystem. Otherwise, we will be forced to create some additional logic, like it was happened in Cosmos and different and Layer 0, for instance. And it is great, very curious, and it works. A really important part here, it works. But if you want to be a replacement not for bridges or something like this, if you want to be actual replacement for backends, you should be effective on the core level. And in order to do this, we as a Unilayer go deeper, went deeper, much deeper. We dived into C++ level of Ethereum, of Bitcoin, of different and other chains, which is a bit too early to be mentioned right now. And we injected them inside our node physically. We make them compiled as a solid program file, and you can run it as a single. And you can configure it to include different nodes. But the thing is, you'll pay only for that very small micro calculations inside C++, without abundance of another web calls and etc. And this is mostly...
maybe you have a visual example, because you're talking very technical, and I'm sure some of the audience gets it, but some of them don't.
Yeah.
So maybe you mentioned something we had before the call. You mentioned there was like something bending. Maybe you can share that.
Sure.
So let me see. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, maybe you can walk people through the actual example.
Sure. It will be much easier. I'm really fan of that technology, and because of this, I can talk about this without any borders, like endless.
Yeah, it sounds so passionate, and we like it. Just some of us don't understand the depth of it, but it's good.
Not everyone a developer here, so for
Yeah.
the rest of us.
Yeah. There is a very curious example when you want to run vending machines, and you'll be forced, you'll faced with very curious and particular problem. For instance, you'll create payment system based on Stargate, and there will be QR codes to make payments, and your customers will pay on different tokens via that Stargate, and your liquidity will be, you'll receive tokens in different networks, and your liquidity will be separated across different blockchains. And it's like a dead end to use that liquidity again to provide to move that to DeFi some and to make that money works again and again, because that amount of money, it's like a bit unpredictable, too small, too distributed, and we are just one smart contract in Unilayer. It will be really easy for you to manage them all, to gather that money, to collect the data about the amounts on across different chains, and to process it to different nice already implemented DeFi platforms to raise money and generate liquidity again and again endlessly. So this is pretty much a very simple example how you can use Unilayer, just one smart contract, and it will be solve endless pain around that kind of business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the so I guess for the average consumer, they won't necessarily know what it will be invisible for them, right? But the Unilayer can be that I don't know, how do you put it, like the element that allows those transactions to go through any blockchain, I guess, or how would you put it?
It is even more curious thing here that yes, our usual customer won't notice that technology. It will be used on provider side, but in the same time, because of simplicity of that solution, like just one smart contract, it will allow us provider to develop further and faster, to be more cost effective, and to pay much less on every transaction, because he can gather the data and he can collect it in one place, and it is really easy to implement. So it will be expanded and developed much faster. Much more devices, vending machines will be spread across the world. Like, it's a really positive thing for endline client too. It is just he won't notice it at first sight.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's so tell us a little bit about. We'll go back to the kind of conversation of competition. So maybe Nikita, you can jump in on that one. Maybe how does the Unilayer works along with the Polkadot, Cosmos, Layer 0? Is it competitors, or are they actually can use Unilayer? Because from what I understand, there's actually a lot of connections there.
Yes, so we are really honored to work and to be partners with many solutions out there on the market that building interoperability future. And because Unilayer network is a foundational level, as Alex mentioned, it is an infrastructural level. It's very helpful for other projects that building solutions. Like for bridges, we're providing the infrastructural level. We make them more secure, we make them cheaper, we make them faster. For other solutions that working with direct customers and users of dApps, applications, and networks, we are providing a solution, a technical solution like railroads, and that's because we are building our infrastructure on C++, and we kind of, not as I mentioned before, understand each language of each different blockchains and translate it to each other, but we also store the whole memory of different chains inside of us. So we are easily integrating with different chains and different partners, and we're looking forward to work with Layer 0, with Cosmos and Polkadot, and we are all on the same mission to unite a divided blockchain world. So there can be a competitors that they're only the developers competition who make it more efficient, who make it better, the more usable. So we're really glad to be on the market altogether.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think it's very important for listeners to understand that interoperability, the whole aspect of it is that the projects do have to work together, and that hasn't been yet fully solved or addressed. And I think from what my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Unilayer is trying to be that kind of a solution in between that connect Cosmos and Polkadot and others, and being part of that equation, right? So not like working together with it. Maybe Alex, you can go a little, maybe you can give another explanation
Yes.
example there.
Now it's like a joke where when we're talking that about that different interoperability providers can't be united, because like, what are you doing, guys? If you're claiming that you want to connect different entities, obviously you should be connected itself. And yes, in order we already started conversation with a few very important interoperability providers as well, because we're working on a bit different fields. We're not solving, for instance, problems with liquidity pools itself. They did amazing job already, and there is no reason to be competitive here. We can provide technology for them as well, because it will take much more time for us to develop, because it's much more complex and time consuming, because we will be involved into fixing and updating some things on our side in order to support physical compilation of our node with included inside another node. Actually, I've seen notice very curious question. I believe we will answer on them a bit later about it. And so yeah, we working on a bit different levels, and we willing to participate in this process of gathering the whole crypto into a solid ecosystem, and we're willing to provide our technology.
All right, excellent. So maybe this is a good moment to show. You mentioned earlier that the beta, right? The beta is coming, and it's I believe you already are deploying it or deployed, and they're going to be a public beta soon too. From I think Nikita, when is the public beta coming out?
So subscribe to our news channels, and we will public a blog post with the links to everything, and with the guides for developers pretty soon after the event.
Okay, and where should they go? Is there on the website?
Yeah, you could go to unilayer.io and just subscribe to our mailing list, and read our blogs and subscribe to our Twitter, so you will be with us.
Yeah, up to date. Awesome. So yeah, so it's I think with some there was dropped the link. Somebody already dropped it in. Perfect. Okay, so should we do the beta? Should Alex, if you give us a little bit of a taste or what people can expect, and sorry, I know there's.
I prefer right now to make a really short notice that we already launched our testnet, and we right now have a public form for you guys. You can fill the data, and you'll receive an email response with binaries and configuration and explanation, so you can run it, and there is working faucet, and this way you can receive test tokens and try it by yourself. But it is right now really early birds, because in a process of development right now, much bigger and much more exciting things. And right now we're testing capability of network and consensus itself within our ecosystem. Like it was not mentioned before, we are level 1, and our performance should be tested, and rewarding model, gas model, everything should be tested as well. It shouldn't be our concept and hypothesis. It should be reality, and the only way to trust it, because the crypto itself is how to not trust each other, but to trust only in facts, is to provide that facts and to see yourself how much resource it will take, and etc. etc. This is pretty much the most important announce we have so far.
Okay, excellent. Do you have anything to show, or you just a glimpse?
I believe we will show that like everyone, we will be able to check it by yourself, because I can show, for instance, very few interesting screenshots right now. because like it's wallet, it's transaction, it's Genesis transaction. There is clear story around it. There is a faucet here and tons of code.
It's I mean, if you have the wallet, show how maybe it looks, just to share something, because I know our audience was
Okay.
curious.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me show it then. I'm not sure how to do
yeah,
that
just
here.
click share. Yeah, it's no. In the meantime, maybe Ray, let's talk a little bit about the while the oh yeah, there it is. All right, perfect. So we're gonna all right. So kind of really on the fly here. Perfect.
Yes,
But-
you see what we show here, that we're using Dash consensus as a basis. And there is a very curious problem here. I'd like to share it with you guys. It's like chicken and egg problem. When you want to create first block, you should have to money, because you should have to create masternode and money should be staked, and masternode should sign that first block. But if you don't have block, you don't have money, obviously, to do this. And method how to solve it actually is pretty curious, because it's like an attack 50% plus one on ourselves.
Yeah, no, it's so basically, Nikita, you mentioned the end of like early July or something, that it'll be. So yeah, so please join. There is a links, I believe, now in the chat. Twitter, I think that's where they're very active. I definitely get some of the updates there. And yeah, no, that sounds exciting. Well, it looks great. We're looking forward for everybody to test it out. All right, so let's get a little more into meat and potatoes here. So, how can people get involved? Let's say they like the idea. So, interoperability. What ways for them to get involved? Maybe if you're a developer, like Alex, you can address it. Nikita, maybe first you start with. I know. Where are you guys in terms of stage, in terms of financing or not? What's maybe share some thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I'm pretty bullish that the next bull run in crypto and the next growth stage will be connected with cross-chain and interoperability, because this is the biggest issue in front of us all. And we are pretty early right now with Unilayer. The testnet is a huge milestone for us. It shows like we can build things together. Our team is strong. It's built up. I think we forget to mention that like 7 developers works days and night to build this, and yeah, we have a lot of opportunities for developers that want to build a cross-chain applications and without investing so much money to build a separate chains. For example, if you are building your dApp on Solana, you don't need to hire 10 more devs to scale it to Optimism or Polygon and so forth. So we right now on a seed round, we are talking with many big funds that has expertise of growing networks and scale the networks. So for the valuation of this market, it's really huge. Like most of the competitors right now that doing other solutions for the cross-chain market, their valuation is over $1 billion US. So it's multi-billion valuations mostly, even without a product. So the demand from investors, it's pretty huge. And for just regular users, remember the early days of any network, the Ethereum, the Solana, the Near network. When you join the new network, that building really important solution for the market, it's grow rapidly, and it's a good time to join and follow Unilayer, because as Ethereum, we are having a token, a native token, Unilayer token, that is actually a gas for our network. So I'm betting that the cross-chain solution will be growing. I'm betting that I want to, participate in the network as a validator, as having master nodes inside this network, just as a regular user, just to invest and participate in rapidly growing networks. And yep.
Excellent. So so if people want to get involved, they get involved easier. Developers, Alex, you want to talk about a little bit developers, how projects can get involved? Once again, it's after that we're going to go more into the future, because I think let's focus on less about ask and more about what are we building for the future, right? Like how do you imagine how blockchain can come together, because it's hundreds of billions of dollars, I believe. Ethereum ecosystem, and then there is Ethereum ecosystem is about equivalent of all other ecosystems together. So it's so there is this two giant gaps, and how do we bridge it? And if somebody can bridge it, it's pretty valuable.
Let's make things a bit more exciting than that. You see, from developer perspective, that right now we're faced with a few already well-known templates, how to create crypto business, how to start. For instance, in DeFi, we have liquidity pools, swaps, and etc. And in GameFi, we have already well-known pattern as well. But just trying to think out of the box, we can create via opportunities provided by cross-chain interoperability to create something entirely new, because we've seen unique and pretty curious features in different networks. And how about to connect them? And even more than that, you, for instance, already spent a fortune to create some really nice project, for instance, on Solana, and you want to try how it works at, for instance, Near, because it's trending right now, and you won't spend that amount of money because obviously you don't have so much time right now, and the momentum was a bit missed. But how about to run POC in another chain? And that POC won't contain an actual implementation. You will just reference the already implemented project inside another chain from that chain, and that's it. And obviously it will be much pricier, because you'll pay for, instead of just one transaction, 3 transaction fees. But just think about it. You can run POC effortless.
Amazing.
And
yeah,
isn't entirely new.
It's all right. So I think we're gonna go into everyone, maybe a rate, starting from everyone, kind of share how do you see interoperability space developing in the next in near future. We'll start with Ray. So Ray, maybe what's your thoughts on it?
So the way I see it is when the blockchain evolution started 10 years ago, 11 years ago, the question was, is the blockchain gonna stay here? So that was the question. But now, 10 years, a decade after, the question was, it's not about is it gonna stay? The question now is, how are we gonna scale? So I think this is now the question of interoperability. Is the crypto gonna stay, crypto industry gonna stay independent from each other or connected? So I think this is where Unilayer would tie them all together. So in the future is bright for Unilayer, actually, because of this opportunity. As mentioned earlier, the industry, the interoperability issue is getting more intense and intense as day goes by, and it's still very early in the early stage, and Unilayer is here to provide not only solution but also infrastructure. So I think the future, it's not only for Unilayer but for interoperability as a whole, is very, very bright, I believe.
Excellent. Yeah. It's personally, I'm very bullish on interoperability. So what I have seen in space is probably one of the hotter markets. So to me, it's space that's up for the taking. It's a multi, hundreds of billions, potentially trillions of dollars in value, if done correctly. And so, as somebody who spent a lot of time in blockchain, and I'm a very big believer on that. It will come from interoperability space, and maybe you guys can be part of that as well. So Nikita, to tell us your vision of interoperability and why it's important.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we are in very early days of development of this technology. And as a humanity, we build an internet. Internet, I believe, it's the biggest invention of humanity. We connected each other through the continents, through the languages, and now we live together. Information is free, and we have so many opportunities as a humanity with the internet. And blockchain is just another epoch of internet development, and we are very early. You could imagine also if you using Gmail mailing service, and you are able to send email to your mom in other country, even if you use Outlook or some others. But in blockchain terms, right now in blockchain ecosystem, that doesn't work. If you in Ethereum, you cannot use applications on Solana or in Polygon, in Cosmos. You just stuck in one ecosystem. So, and I believe the next bull run and next cycle connected with this topic. And you could just take a look at consensus right now. A lot of cross-chain and interoperability, multi-chain events.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about these. You could read Anderson Horowitz last report. They are talking about interoperability a lot. They're investing in many companies in this industry. So for me, it's obvious that this is the next big thing in crypto. But how exactly we're going to do this? And we rely on a community. As a network, we're not a centralized company. We are a network. So we're inviting all of you guys to participate in this network and to scale it and to be part of it. So altogether, we could build a omni-chain future for sure.
All right, let's do it. Alex, you're next. How do you see the future? And by the way, after that, we're gonna move to the questions. So we got a couple of questions from the people, but yeah, so we won't go too many questions. So Alex, please, how do you see the future?
Future, future is always unpredictable. It's a very philosophical question, but I have my ideas and beliefs, and based on this, I have my own prediction. And that prediction actually has pretty fast scale. I believe that in future, when everyone will be much happier, obviously, free food, free place for living, and etc., and complete free to share your thoughts and create your own systems, everyone will be like, I want to do this. I want to explore different planets. I want to create some incredibly large ecosystem project. It doesn't matter really. It's up to anyone to decide what he really wants to do. But the thing is, it's not about the future that obviously will happen. The thing is, we're willing to do as much as possible to create that future. And this is my concern. We here creators, and we have our responsibilities. We creating, obviously we Unilayer as well, that brighter future. This is my personal belief. So the question is not about how I am seeing future.
Mm-hmm.
The question is what I am doing to create that future.
You're building the future.
Yes,
And I think that's very important part, because that's from the get-go. So when I launched this blockchain YC group, it was 2016. And at the time it was more about, there was no blockchain as a space. There was Bitcoin, and there was just, a little bit noise of growth. And all of a sudden 2017 happened and it exploded. The whole space just got to a different level. So to me, it's very interesting how far the building came through. So like everybody should try to get involved and build. So, and I would say if you like the project, like Unilayer, and get involved with them, like they dropped, I think they dropped the links in the chat. So it's really more about finding out for any listener what is interesting to you, how what resonates to you, and then to follow your potentially passion or just get involved in the community. As Nikita mentioned, it's really about if you're a developer, you can build. Once again, if it's more about the vision of what's possible and then actually building it. So right, see, we don't want to be thinking and pondering, well, the future is. And by the way, that was the case. 2017, it was like that. There was no technology at the time. The technology was so bare bones. I remember I was a Consensus 2017, and everybody was selling. I remember Banana Coin. They were doing ICO. There was so many projects that they weren't really trying to build future, but there were some that were. Like 2018, I remember Cosmos. I remember the Consensus. I'm seeing Cosmos, and that project really stood out back in the day. And as you can see, they build the future, and so I very much think that Unilayer has the potential to help building the future, and not for us to decide. So anyways, there's some questions. So I'm gonna go through some questions for everyone. How long have you been working on Unilayer?
Just too long, we started. It's a bit complicated to count the actual date of starting of development, because there is a data of first commit, there is a data of first message. So I can say that year and a half already passed. And also I want to add here, there was a question about how many people on your team, and I believe the answer was about front office and those who participated in launching of testnet. But in total, it's much more, because you see we have 5 different team leaders, we have 15 senior developers, and we have business analytics and technical analytics a lot, because it's like it should be. The most important part here is documentation, obviously, because we targeting developers. It is very important for us to provide a level of confidence and comfort for developers. Otherwise, it's just pointless. And so in total, it shouldn't exceed 50 people. It's a bit more that was mentioned.
Yeah, excellent. So cool. So let's see. There's I think a few more questions about. So I think the links I think are correct. Just people need to leave spaces. so somebody can update to make sure that there is spaces within the links so people can follow it. Awesome.
Yes, here.
Yeah. So this is a way to do it. Yeah.
Actually, and that presentation I've shared, the very last slide is about how to connect Unilayer. You can show it as well.
It's I mean, this is so for, I think for people, it's basically go to the site. If you have any questions about specifics, email Nikita will be, I guess, your point of contact. Nikita at Unilayer, Twitter, at Unilayer Network. All the updates going to be there. So I personally, unless there is any last major question, there was a couple of technical questions, but I'm not sure how many the people might get lost there. So by the way, if everyone enjoyed this session, in the future we can bring in Unilayer again, in a few months maybe, because we like to try showcase progress of different projects. So potentially, at some point, but for the time being, I would say if anybody have a curiosity, you can check out their links. Technically, I'm sure you're gonna be sending a lot of updates, right? right. Join Twitter. You're gonna see all the updates. Excellent. Any last parting words? I guess any actions you want to. So Alex, maybe you go first. Let us know what's your anything you want people to do, anything you want people to listen to. Yeah, go ahead.
very important thing for any project that state we will connect something to something is community approval and support. So my very important message: join us, ask your question, reach us, and we will be more than happy to answer and to collaborate with you, because in essence this is what we do.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. And Nikita?
Yeah, we're inviting developers and projects who want to build a cross-chain future, who already has some dApps or projects, who are thinking about some projects. Let's talk. We could share our expertise. We could share our cybersecurity expertise with you. So it will be mutual beneficial for sure. We're inviting partners that want to build a network, that has experience in building networks, and could help us to scale this. And we inviting just regular users who are interested in blockchain technologies, and trying to understand blockchain's ecosystem. We will make it much more easier for everybody. We are bringing the next mass adoption. So join us and stay up to date.
Excellent. Yeah, it's if you're, I think you at some point before show you mentioned that you might be raising funds. So if I guess investors, right, can reach out to you if they're interested.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. We are looking for strong partners because it's a big challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe Layer Zero raised $100 million.
Yeah.
So yes, it's definitely capital intensive, but also because the space to disrupt is so large. So that's why it's a very opportunity is great. Ray, and what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm the social media guy, so I'm not the tech guy. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our Twitter account, even to our Telegram account. If you have any even technical questions, I could cater them and ask them to the proper guy. But our Twitter, our team from social media is really working hard to give you information daily, to educate you what's going on with Unilayer. So stay tuned. I think the best course for information about Unilayer is our Twitter account, and for now our Telegram account. So that's where you can see us. We're all active there. Alex is there, Nikita is there. If you have any question, just tag them and they'll respond to you.
You heard it here, folks. It's easy as that. just go to Telegram, go to Twitter. Lots of updates. All right. I think we answered all the questions. So yeah, it's I'm super thrilled. It was very enlightening and interesting. Sometimes very technical, but hey, I think people it was excellent explained. So hopefully our audience, you enjoyed it. You kind of understand what is what. Please follow Unilayer on Twitter at the Unilayer Network if you want to get updates from Blockchain NYC itself. We're gonna have more events coming up on various stuff, DeFi, NFTs. Gaming. So we're gonna cover a lot of different event topics coming up. So in the meantime, I bid you adieu. And Alex, let's thank Alex, Nikita, Ray for coming. Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was my pleasure to host.
Thank you for having us here. All right, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
May the force be with you.
All right. Thanks. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for.
See you soon. Have fun on consensus.
Absolutely. Consensus. Go jumping in sessions now.